Okay, good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. We are tuning in from different places on Earth, from Stockholm, Tokyo, Copenhagen, and Buenos Aires. We are very happy to be here today. We are the AwardFares team, and we are just getting started, warming up a little bit while more people tune in and join. The plan today is to go through some exciting news we have to cover, announcing new features which we think you're gonna appreciate and like as travel enthusiasts, and if you're on the hunt for that perfect award flight. Just to tell a little bit about the logistics, we are going live on three platforms at the same time, on YouTube and our Facebook channel and on Instagram as well. So we're going to receive chats and messages from across all those three platforms. If you want to enjoy the full screen experience, we recommend going on YouTube. There might be a slight delay until we get the messages from all three sources, and it works slightly better on YouTube. So we recommend going there for a smoother experience. So we're super thrilled to be here today, and we have been working hard on this release. We are super happy, and we are confident you will enjoy the features we're going to present today. And by the way, we have more news coming up towards the end of the live stream, so make sure to tune in until the very end. And after we have done some live demos of our new features, there will be a Q&A session. You got the chance already to submit some of these questions on the sign-up form, but there's still time to pop in with some more questions. So you can use a chat on any of the platforms, and we'll highlight some of those questions on the screen. So welcome. I think we can get started. We are going to go around the table to introduce ourselves. I'm Herman. I'm the head of marketing at AwardFares. And yeah, I think Richard, you can go next.
Muted?
Yeah, maybe you're muted, Richard.
Sure. I'm Richard. I'm one of the co-founders of AwardFares.
Yeah, and I'm Philip, the other co-founder of AwardFares.
And I'm Alina, full stack developer at AwardFares.
Welcome. And with that said, now I welcome Richard to the floor to start showing some exciting, cool stuff.
Sure. So let's see if we can bring up my screen. There we go. So the features that we want to present to you today, they all relate to the alerts. So if you used AwardFares before, you've maybe set up some alerts before, and you might see that the screen now looks somewhat different from what you used to before. So first of all, what stands out is maybe this live here, as well as the ability to create what we call flex alerts. So I will go through a little bit about like what these do and what the differences are. So the first one is the live alert type, which if you used alerts before, you will find this quite similar, but a much requested feature. You're now able to set up multiple different airports, both as your origin as well as your destination. So that enables you to much easier, it makes it a lot easier to monitor multiple different routes. For example, in this case, you might be able to fly from multiple different of the Nordic capitals, as well as to Charles de Gaulle and Amsterdam, which of course now with SAS and SkyTeam will probably be are the main hubs for awards. Now, in addition to this, you can also create alerts across ranges of dates. So you're able to select both a range of dates like this, as well as some additional sort of disconnected dates. So in this case, I want to monitor a couple of weeks in August, an individual date later in August, and an individual day in September. And I will show you clearly here that this is essentially 102 alerts, sort of in the way that they were known previously in the old system. And I can just create all of these with one click. And then, just as you're used to from before, you will receive push notifications as well as emails whenever any of these alerts match. So in this case, there was already a lot of matching fares, of course, because yeah, this is a quite a popular route and some dates fairly close in the future. So again, like if you used alerts before, then you'll probably recognize a lot of that, but you'll probably also see that it's a lot more convenient to create alerts now. But another much requested feature has been what we're now launching as Flex Alerts. So this allows you to, for example, do an alert from Europe to Asia at any time in, for example, business class for at least two passengers. Oh, sorry, two passengers. And so what this will do is that essentially this will piggyback off of the searches that other users are doing. So this allows you to create very, very wide alerts as in, like, for example, a continent to another continent and at any time. And then you will receive push notifications. In this case, I have push notifications enabled on my phone. So as soon as I create this, I will receive notifications about any flights that match the filters that I have set up here, i.e. any long-haul flights to Asia in business class for at least two people. And then if I'm feeling spontaneous, I can quite easily just go ahead and book those right from the notification. So those are sort of the two main features that we're launching now. So both like a complete overhaul of the existing alert system with the live alerts, as well as these flex alerts.
Awesome, that's super exciting. I think with these features, you're gonna get a ton more flexibility. To recap, there's now our existing features have been revamped, and now we have two sets of alerts: the ones that are called live alerts, which you might be more familiar on how it works. It's meant for more like a specific travel plan. So, for example, if you want to find a specific route or flight. Now those are much more powerful because you can include searches across like wider dates and windows of times and dates of weeks and multiple times and multiple airports. And then now we have the new type of alert, which is flex alerts, which is meant also to find more opportunities based on the award flights we are seeing and interesting routes that are happening and that have availability. So you could have a more flexible routings. So, for example, if you want to find award flights from Europe to Asia or to North America or between regions across multiple dates or weeks or months. So not that's possible with a single alert. We'll have all this information on the blog with more details. I think maybe I'm able to share even. The information should be live on our blog right now, both the new guide on how to use these types of alerts and also the announcement with all the features and how these features work and how you can get started playing around with this now new functionality. Yeah, with that said, maybe we can open the floor for questions on all of the channels. We have some questions related to alerts already, so maybe we can get started with those. I'm gonna see if we can type them here. Yes, so the first question is, will it be possible to search or set alerts for an entire month? So yes, maybe Richard, if you wanna quickly show how now that's possible with this new alerts.
Sure.
we have
Yeah,
today.
that's definitely possible. So you can set up for as many as your plan will allow. So like for instance, in my case, I can set up here, this will be 30 alerts to cover this 1 month with this one route. And then just click save and oh, sorry, that one, I actually already had that. So I'll do this instead. And there we go. So in this case, the diamond plan will come with 1,500 alerts, and an alert is in this way of counting is a combination of an origin, a destination, and a date. And the gold plan comes with 30 alerts. So even for the gold plan, it's enough to cover one route for a whole month.
Awesome. We have another question around alerts, which is, can you set alerts for entire regions? And I think that's
Yeah.
also addressed with, yeah.
So you can, with what we now call the flex alerts here, with those you can select alerts for regions or for continents, countries, or specific airports if you want that. So for example, my home base is Stockholm Arlanda. So maybe I'm actually only interested in flying out of specifically Stockholm Arlanda, but I could go to Asia or South America or Africa. And then that will give me the alert from specifically this airport to any of these continents.
Yeah, that's super handy. And I think the translation between like configuring the combination between regions and dates, it makes it really powerful because it makes you explore really easily what's available to book right away or during which dates, and maybe with that you can plan better travels. And related to that, we also got a questions on the forum saying, how about white alerts on multiple airports? And I think that's also something that got addressed with this release, as you were talking about, Richard, right?
Yeah, exactly. So both for flex alerts, you can add multiple airports, as well as for live alerts. Now I saw somebody mentioning that they tried Southeast Asia and it's not available. I presume that that's a EuroBonus user, and EuroBonus has sort of their own definitions of different parts of the world, which don't really apply to other frequent flyer programs. So right now we've chosen to limit this to things that are sort of shared between everyone in the world. So things like countries and continents. You can like relatively easily set up the specific countries that you're interested in. So for example, Southeast Asia is a well-defined list of countries on the SAS website, so you can simply enter those countries here. So it might be, for example, Thailand, Singapore, and so on. So it is possible to sort of replicate that if you're only interested in certain specific countries.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much all the questions we got. I'm monitoring all the channels here, and
Somebody was asking when this will be released, and this is released right now. So you can go to the AwardFares website right now and try it out.
Yeah, and then we also got some news about pricing. Maybe is that right, Philip or Richard? Can you share some on the sale?
Yeah, exactly. So as we mentioned, the limits that will apply. So for anybody who was a Diamond user up until now, they will get 1,500 live alerts until or for as long as they keep their subscription. And right now we're live with the sale on the Diamond plan. So it's basically half off for the coming 3 months for any new users. And then it also comes with the increased limit of 1,000 live alerts, which will decrease to 500 live alerts for anybody who signs up after the sale and going forward in the future.
Awesome. Yeah, so the sale is starting today. As you mentioned, Richard, there will be new limits involved. So it's a good opportunity to secure some of those limits, enhanced limits during sale period. It's going to last for a week. Yeah, and it's already live, I think. So yeah, you can hop on the alerts announcement and my guide to get all the details about these new features we are releasing today. And then we also thought that given that we are not doing this kind of events every day, we have collected a bunch of other questions that we think are very interesting that we maybe want to talk about, that could be either related to our product, to search, and especially also to what's going on with some of the programs, given that there are so many things happening in the industry right now, especially, for example, for EuroBonus users. There's this announcement of the acquisition by Air France KLM of becoming a majority major stakeholder of SAS. So there's a lot of questions going on. We have published a guide on our thoughts. We got some feedback, actually very interesting, and it's useful. You are always welcome to send in your feedback and comments. Just to clarify, the intention of that post is not to paint the dark future or to be negative. It's more to raise awareness that these things happen. We have seen a lot of those changes in the past going on in the industry, and those usually don't end up being so positive in some ways for members of loyalty programs. So even though it could open up for good opportunities and positive things in general, it's also interesting to think about what could sort of be the impact on your points if you are trying to plan or book a travel soon, and how can those points could devalue, or what could be in general the drawbacks of this kind of transitions or mergers. So the post is pretty lengthy. We have touched upon a few of those points, but maybe we have gotten several more questions around the topic, so maybe we could just talk about it and also showcase a little bit of what AwardFares can do for you, and how can AwardFares help you secure some award flights before the transition, or try to prevent from your points getting devalued in general. So one of the questions we have gotten around that topic is, what will EuroBonus look once it's merged with Flying Blue? So maybe you guys can comment here, but there's no official statement that the programs will be merged. It's more like they just announced that the Air France KLM as a group will acquire a majority stake in SAS. So it could be that SAS EuroBonus remains a separate program for some period of time. So maybe we can all share our reflections quickly around the table. Just to clarify, there's no official statement that these programs will be merged. From our experience, we have seen some programs after these big acquisitions happening actually being absorbed or merged. From my side, what I can comment on is that the pricing is very different in both programs. So if they ever merge, it's most likely that EuroBonus is shifting towards a dynamically priced awards compared to what it is today, right? Because of like Flying Blue did this change, adopted this change several years ago. Yeah, so maybe Philip or Richard, do you have some comments around?
Yeah, I just want to mention quickly, we're seeing some people report that they can't upgrade through the sale, so we're working on getting that sorted as soon as possible. But yeah,
we'll get
I think
it sorted out.
But I think overall, I agree with you. The history with programs merging like this has been that there's some devaluation in one form or another. I mean, even if that's not like the points will probably not be worth 0, there will be some conversion, but chances are that the situation might not be as good as it is today. But that being said, the dynamic pricing tends to come with more availability as well. So there's some upside, I guess, to that.
Yeah, absolutely. One other question we have gotten is actually around availability, and especially what's been our experience since we see a lot of data around availability, right, every day. And SAS recently transitioned to SkyTeam, so we have been long users of SAS when it was part of Star Alliance, and we have enjoyed a lot of availability on certain airlines in particular. And then now we are experiencing this shift to SkyTeam. There's a lot of changes. We have a lot of feedback from users saying maybe on some routes or between some regions, it's much easier to find availability. Maybe it's much harder. It's all sorts of different experience. Overall, from my perception, I haven't had a great time with the shift to SkyTeam, especially in between the regions I fly. Because it's much harder for me to find awards than what it was before between certain regions, especially losing Lufthansa or that group. Maybe it wasn't the best cabins or seats available, but it was easier before to find flights last minute or securing some award between special regions. For example, I tend to fly a lot between South America and Europe, and that's actually quite hard these days with EuroBonus on SkyTeam, because Air France KLM doesn't open so much of those seats for EuroBonus. Although there are way more options when it comes to routing, because I think Air France and KLM offer more, like a better frequency between Brazil and Argentina to Europe than what Lufthansa did offer in the past. So from my end, that part was a little bit negative. On the other hand, when you look at the award chart, sometimes you find these interesting sweet spots, but maybe they didn't plan too much. So if you look at South America, pretty much the whole region on SkyTeam, it's within the same part of the award chart, and then that means that you can travel for like 20 or 25,000 euro bonus points, like very, very long distances between Argentina and Mexico. So it's kind of a mix. It really depends on where you're flying and the offerings with the airlines and how frequent those flights are and those seats are offered. Another thing we can say is that what we have seen is that even though SkyTeam has like more offerings in Asia in some ways, remember that Star Alliance is a much larger alliance, so it makes sense that some of those seats are we used to see more availability on that alliance. At the same time, if you look at Asia, it's strong in their SkyTeam, but at the same time they have this introduction of like double pricing for certain airlines. For example, another question we have gotten was, is there any plans for reducing the cost? I think when you look at Vietnam Airlines or Air Europa or some other airlines, those awards cost double. So even on routes where you could find seats and better availability, the cost is much higher. So that's another drawback we have seen with the switch to SkyTeam. That's overall our experience, my experience firsthand. I don't know if you guys have any extra comment on that question, Philip or Malin.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely become harder. Like I personally haven't been able to book much with SkyTeam since the switchover, but and even like with pure SAS awards that I book quite frequently, I've definitely seen that those have become harder as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future, and at this point, I guess everyone's hoping for things improving in some way or another.
So there was quite a lot of questions still about the difference between live alerts and flex alerts. So I was thinking we can do another round of explanations for that. So if you've used AwardFares before and you've set up alerts before, those alerts essentially work exactly the same way as, or that is the live alerts. So that's what we today call live alerts. So those alerts will be searched automatically on a schedule, and the schedule will vary a little bit depending on certain factors like the how far away the departure date is and what frequent flyer program it is and so on. But overall, any live alerts that you create will automatically trigger searches. So that's not something that it's not that you need to actively search for this. We are basically searching for you. As opposed to flex alerts, which are a way of getting alerts based off of searches that either other users do or alerts that are set up, or we have certain routes that are searched automatically, like regardless of whether somebody searches. So all of these searches will trigger the flex alert. So of course, with the flex alerts, it's not a guarantee that you will see every single fare that's available. But on the flip side of that, it allows you to create extremely broad alerts. So, for example, from a continent to another continent. Now, this will not actively search every single airport in, let's say, Europe to every single airport in Asia. But instead, thanks to the fact that we have quite a lot of traffic, you will probably get a significant number of alerts if you select, for example, between two continents. Then there is quite a lot of traffic and there's quite a lot of searches being generated, and as a result, there's quite a lot of availability popping up in our database as well.
And I guess it's worth mentioning that you also need to be a bit careful to not maybe make your flex alerts too broad, because you'll probably end up getting a lot of notifications, probably more than you want. Like
right.
If you set up a flex alert for like Copenhagen to anywhere in Europe any time, then you'll probably get way more notifications than you want. So yeah, I mean, that's something I think everyone can experiment with and see what works. But like, especially for those hard to find awards, it can be useful to set up an alert, for example, if you're looking for flights to Asia or down to the Pacific or something like that. It might be good to have something more broad.
Yeah, and especially if you're flexible. So we found that a lot of our users are either flexible in their travel dates, but maybe particular in their destination. So for example, I want to go to Japan, but I can travel pretty much anytime. Or the other way around, like I just want to go traveling somewhere in business class, but I'm only available during these weeks when I have holiday, for example, or when the kids are not in school. And the flex alerts allow you to sort of open up some trips and or find some trips and open up those possibilities.
Yeah, and also to clarify that the flex alerts will only be delivered as push notifications. So live alerts are email and optionally also push notification, but flex alerts are only push notifications at this moment. And part of the reasoning there is, like we mentioned before, if you accidentally set up your filters too broad, you would end up with potentially hundreds of emails in your inbox. And maybe sometime in the future we could look into also doing some sort of a digest or something, maybe like a daily summary by email or something like that. But at the moment, flex alerts are only push notifications.
And the live alerts will send you an email as well, and both of these will trigger as soon as we find availability. So if you set up, for example, a live alert and we find availability a couple of minutes later, then you will get that email. And then if that availability changes a few minutes after that, you'll get another email. So it's every time that we see a change in availability and it still matches your filters, then you'll continuously get an email until it no longer matches the filters that you have set up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a quick comment. So we have tried to clarify all these aspects. These are great questions. So if you go into our announcement post, the idea here is we have tried to give an sort of a high-level view of what these two types of alerts are for. So if you are under the use case of trying to find a very specific route or like a carefully selected set of dates, then you would go for like a live alert, which is much more sensitive to award availability changes. It will email you and give you push notifications, and then you can react much more quickly. But let's say you have more flexible plans. You want to explore both destinations and dates just to make a good use of your points. So then you would set up broader configurations for your alerts. And that's where flex alerts come in, which we were not covering this use case before. And what our users would do in that case before would be to set up lots of tiny alerts, like very specific alerts as a group, saying, do you monitor for me, for example, Copenhagen to San Francisco, Copenhagen to Los Angeles, Stockholm to the US, Stockholm to Thailand. So now that becomes much simpler because you could set up dates, broad dates, and regions, and then we'll monitor what's happening on those regions and routes for you based on what's happening in the industry, what's interesting to show up, where are the routes where we see more availability showing up, so you will get notified. So we've kind of separated this planner use case versus the explorer use case. And then if you go to this announcement post, we will try to summarize this information for you, like all the filters you can set up, and then how to target like a specific award you're after, and then how to provide a strategy, or like at least our strategy. We recommend, like, if you were to have a lot of success getting some award, then you would combine the use of live alerts and flex alerts, going from very specific configuration into broader settings, combining live alerts and flex alerts, right? So here there's an example, and then commenting on what Philip was saying, that for live alerts we have different limits starting today on the tiers and how many alerts you get included on the gold and diamond subscription, and then the way you get notified, right? Because on live alerts you can get both email and push, but since flex alert are way broader, there are many more things coming up, right? So we don't want to like shoot 2,000 emails per hour, so that's why you're getting mainly push notifications with instant updates. Yeah, so on top of this announcement post, there's also an updated guide on alerts, which if you go to /alerts, blog.awardfares.com/alerts, now you get a full guide on how to use both type of alerts and what Richard demonstrated today, on how to select multiple programs, multiple dates, adding filters, and also it's important to know how those alerts and configurations you are trying to set up translate into limits, because basically it's building up from broad settings into smaller tracking of some certain routes, so it's gonna consume more of the limits of the alerts included. And then maybe you saw a few months earlier, we have updated how you get notified with the costs and different way of getting the email about the availability. So the full guide is already live. If you have questions, you can keep sending those via email or the support on the support ticket, or even in the chat on the social channel, so that we can make sure to tackle and answer all these questions. One interesting question that showed up a couple of times in the chats, now that I'm wondering, is this case on a diamond subscriber that is subscribed to AwardFares, it's expressing interest on like what happens if it's searching for a specific alert, like it's configuring some alert, and it's wondering about what happens with all its competitors for that alert. So I guess this user is talking about what happens if, for example, multiple users are watching the same route on the availability, right? I guess that's what this user means with competitors. So maybe that's something we could quickly comment on. So our system is prepared to react quite quickly between the availability shows up and you get notified, because we monitor almost real-time or real-time availability on those routes. But maybe what happens if multiple users are watching that alert, right? So I guess ultimately it depends on the time of those users reacting to the notification, right?
Yeah, exactly. We found that this is quite a common theoretical fear, so to speak. Like people tend to bring this up, but yet in reality, the number of cases where this has actually happened is very few and far between. Now, of course, it might be that with the flex alerts, that this does actually become a problem, and I guess in that case we need to sort of rethink the feature in the future. But historically, it's been something that people often bring up, that they do a lot of searching using Diamond, and then they also know that free users can see all of that availability that they find, and they are worried that somebody else might book it. But in reality, the probability of somebody looking for exactly the trip that you are looking at is relatively low. So it's not really something that we find happens all that often in reality.
And it is worth mentioning that there is a delay between searching and the Flex alerts getting sent out. So, for example, if you are specifically searching like a route, say Copenhagen to Tokyo or something, and you do happen to find some new availability, then you still have a small window where you can book that. And that delay windows is maybe something that we'll tweak going forward. But yeah, we do want to find a good balance between giving giving people the results that they're triggering the searches for, but also offering something powerful like the Flex alerts.
Yes.
I also saw quite a few questions asking about round trip, which I don't think we've covered.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's not something that we support yet. So far, it's still like the main AwardFares interface is still built around doing one-way searches, and of course, you can build round trips by searching your outbound and then separately creating or searching your return, and you can put those together with the journey using the journey planner. And the same thing goes for alerts. If you're looking for a round trip with alerts, then you'd have to set up one alert for your outbound and a separate alert for your return. I hope that's something that we can tackle at some point in the near future with proper support for round trips. But yeah, for now it's still one ways.
Yeah, we got a follow-up question on something we were talking about. So a live search will check every minute for a saved alert automatically if it's near in time. So let's say,
well, as a gold or diamond, as a diamond subscriber, you can refresh the availability on a live search. And if something new pops up, that will trigger an alert, but alerts won't by default check every minute. We try to check them at least a couple times a day automatically, and that's how live alerts have always worked in AwardFares.
Yeah. Then I also see a question about all the available regions. If there's any list of the names with all our regions. Yeah. For example, is Honolulu North America, for example?
Yeah, I don't know if we have a list of regions.
So those regions are continents. So I mean, and it's sort of mapped airport, country, continent. So Honolulu is in the country of the United States, which is in the continent of North America. Even though, yeah, there are some oddities like that, but if you think about where does the country intuitively belong in terms of like a geographical continent, then that will get you in the right to the right spot.
But yeah, the regions are countries or continents, and then for search we also have like the award zones, which right now are only mapped to EuroBonus.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting actually quite a few questions on different topics, including requests for new features, if we have those in the roadmap, Yeah, and then upcoming other questions about other programs. We can talk about those soon. One comment was that it would be nice to have a way to remove the SkyTeam airlines that are charging for EuroBonus in particular double the points. I guess that could be handy to have.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there are multiple ways of doing that right now. The easiest is probably just to remove those airlines from your filters, like if you're doing a search or and right now I believe it's only 3 airlines. That's Air Europa, China Airlines, and Vietnam Airlines.
Vietnam.
So
yeah,
so it's fairly easy to just uncheck those from your alert filters or your search filters. You could also put a max price filter, so you can exclude any redemptions that are above a certain price.
Yeah.
So
I remember there's already implemented like a SkyTeam filter, so you could click that first, and then it will say exclude all the other things, and then you can further go into this filter and then uncheck all the other airlines that are charging double the EuroBonus points. So that's maybe an easy fix for now. Yeah.
And I guess
then
on the topic of filtering, I did see one question come up earlier, which was about filtering like the type of aircraft. I think specifically like wide body, and I think the specific use case the person was asking about was how to find long distance flights. And while we don't have an easy filter for doing wide body results only, we do have a couple new features or new filters that we added fairly recently. One of them is being able to set like minimum duration as well as maximum duration for flights, and also sort of adjacent to that is layover durations, where we have both a minimum and a maximum filter. So, I mean, one easy way to find long distance would be to, for example, put your stops filter to non-stop only and add a minimum duration for the flight. Or if you want to include stops, you could set a maximum layover duration and also have a minimum duration. So you can kind of play with a combination of those filters to maybe squeeze out exactly the sort of long distance flights that you want to include. And I guess it is worth mentioning that even if we were to have a wide body filter, that doesn't always necessarily correspond to a long distance flight, because especially in Asia, it's quite common to have wide body aircraft between countries where it might only be like a 2-hour or 3-hour flight. And of course you get some of those in Europe as well, but maybe more in Asia. So
yeah, even domestic flights.
So maybe the duration filter might be better.
Yes. Some people are asking about how do you get the limited time offer. So if you go on the AwardFares.com, there should be a sale banner at the top, and in there, I guess there's a few cases. If you're already a diamond or if you're already a gold user, would go through a different flow. So maybe you can comment on that, Philip, or
yeah. So I mean, the easiest thing is if you're completely new to AwardFares, create an account. If you don't already have one, go to the billing page and click upgrade to diamond. You'll automatically get the offer. If you're an existing gold member, same there, go to billing page and click upgrade to diamond. And if you're already a diamond, then there's nothing for you to do. You'll already have the the higher limits for existing diamond members. So.
Yes. So we're getting a few comments also on upcoming providers. So we got a question about Miles and More. So yeah, Dean is saying, sorry guys, no Miles and More.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of requests for new frequent flyer programs, and yeah, it's really nice to get those requests, because that's that means people are maybe using multiple programs, or members from new programs are also finding AwardFares, which is really nice to see. We have made some new progress. Recently, we added Finnair, which was our first step towards Avios. And I think Finnair is a really interesting program as maybe a complement or potentially a replacement if you're not happy with EuroBonus. But I think they work quite nicely together, especially since they're covering two different alliances. Yeah, that's really exciting that we finally got Finnair. And of course, there are many other programs that we want to add. And yeah, I guess the short answer there is we're continuously working on adding more programs, and we kind of have to take one by one as we slot it into our roadmap of both balancing features but also adding new programs.
It's always exciting with what's going on with all these programs and finding the best ways to use your points on miles, actually. We got a question coming in about, yeah, it's a suggestion saying, it would be amazing to have a search of a stop airport. Like, for example, say I want to make a stop at a certain airport where I might have a favorite lounge. So what's your take in tackling those kind of itineraries?
Yeah, we do have a filter on the search page for adding connecting airports. So yeah, that's easy to add. I don't think we have that filter for alerts, actually. So we try to make sure that we have all the filters for both, but I don't think we've gotten around to adding it for alerts yet.
Yeah, so maybe that's one way of adding that feature in the alerts. But just to clarify, maybe I can zoom in a little bit here. We're talking about also disconnecting airports if you're on the regular search page. So maybe that's one feature you could use if you want to find a specific airport or lounge in your itinerary. Yeah, we're taking the note on bringing that feature onto the alerts as well to map it better.
I saw one question just come in about how to get Flex alerts on your iPhone, and we do have a blog post covering the push notifications. So the short answer is you open AwardFares in your browser, and then you have to save the website to your home screen. And once you have that, you can enable push notifications. That's sort of a slightly annoying limitation with how iPhones work. But that's the way to do it. So if you go to the blog and you search for push notifications, you'll be able to find the post. And I believe we also link to it from the alerts page, where we have the toggle for setting up push notifications.
Yeah. And a quick note on that: if you have already set up your push notifications, then you're on a different device, you will get prompt on this under your alerts dashboard. It will say you have push notifications set up on a different device, and you can actually go click on this, and it will show up more details of which device and how those push notifications are set up, so that whenever you are on one device, you are clear on where you're getting your notifications for this. So that's under the alerts dashboard, and still working there. Right.
And in general, if you have any questions like that, how does this work, or why doesn't this work, then the chat in the lower right corner here, you can always ask us a question, and we'll answer as fast as possible, usually within a couple of hours.
Yes. Now we are getting a few questions on or suggestions, or are there any plans to add more features to the flight schedules tool, like, for example, filters or search certain parameters? It's a very convenient tool when searching for non-award flights and routes.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that it's a useful tool. It's a feature that's been around for a long time, but I guess we haven't done much with it for quite a long time now. I think it would be interesting to maybe figure out ways where we could maybe combine the flexibility of the filtering we have for awards, maybe also apply it to non-awards in some way. I guess we don't have any specific plans in the roadmap right now for improvements to the flight schedules tool, but yeah, I guess if there are any specific search parameters or filters that would be interesting, feel free to maybe send those in to us, create a support ticket or chat with us. And it's always good for us to get that feedback.
Yes, it's great to see the reception of these tools we put out there. There's, if you see all the other, like many of the EuroBonus posts, they are now embedding some of these tools as part of the post. So, for example, if you want to estimate how many points you will get on SkyTeam Airlines for EuroBonus points, depending on your status and the flight length, because they recently changed how they compute that, then you can go into our latest guide on that, and you will have a mini tool there that computes that for you. And yeah, feel free to give us feedback anytime on these things that are working for you, and we'll make sure to take notes on that for our roadmap. We got another question on alerts, specifically on how would you tackle this use case. For example, if you want to combine an alert for a return flight. Yeah, so I guess you're searching for one specific route and you want to go back and forth that city or destination. So how would you tackle with the current system that kind of use case?
Yeah,
would that be to alerts? Yeah.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, you would have to set up 2 alerts. That would probably be the easiest way of doing it. Yeah, unfortunately, there's no easy way right now to guarantee that those will be checked at the same time. So it might be that you get a hit on the outbound, and then maybe you just go in and do a manual search for the returns to see if there's anything, or if it's a really difficult route to book, you might want to just book the one leg first, either the outbound or the return, and then wait to see if you can find the other leg as well and add that to your booking. Because it's hard enough to find one-way awards sometimes, so finding both the outbound and the return at the same time can be quite challenging, especially for some of those more difficult destinations.
Sure. We also got a question about like the best ways to book bonus trips using a 2-for-1 voucher. This is specifically for EuroBonus, but I guess it could extend to any type of companion vouchers for different programs. Different programs in different regions are partnered with different credit cards or banks or issuers in general, and some of those, even for just the program itself without any of the cards, sometimes you get access to a companion voucher under certain conditions. So if you are after good redemptions, what we usually do, in particular for EuroBonus, every year we put together a kind of a sweet spots we are seeing right now on good redemptions that are having good availability and also nice pricing, where you actually get good value out of your points. So we recommend checking out our blog and our news and socials. We tend to publish these lists and then we keep them updated. Usually, for the past 2 years, I think the deadline for the Amex 241 vouchers got extended until March. We are not sure about this year what's going to happen, but usually 1 month earlier, we tend to collect some of this information and put it out there. And it's the same with many other programs. So if you're not the EuroBonus user and maybe you're, I don't know, Alaska or Flying Blue, and there are some programs that have a companion voucher, then we tend to publish sweet spots that are interesting to book right now and where you can get advantage of that nice pricing and maximum value for your points. Right. We're still getting questions, so there's time. I think we are getting closer.
I saw
to wrapping up.
one question, one question earlier, which was would be nice if there was an option to save filter settings so you could easily load them later. And while there isn't like a specific feature in the UI to save a search, all your filters are added to the URL at the top of your browser. So one easy way of saving a search is by just bookmarking that page with those filters, or setting it as a favorite, or even just like copying the link and saving it in a note or something, and then you could have all your favorite combinations of filters already set up. So if you have a bunch of different searches that you regularly maybe load up, then you could just have those in a note and click them, and it'll pull in all your filters that you already set up.
Yeah, that's great to know. Thanks, Philip. We still have time. We're reaching the end of the live stream, but at the same time, we can cover more questions. So feel free to write your suggestions or things you would like to talk about. We still have a couple of questions around different topics in general. I think I'm gonna show up this question. So we got a suggestion on adding a feature to search for any program. So of course, that's the scope of that question is a bit broad because adding a program requires a lot of implementation behind. But for users who are tuning in right now, there's a possibility to search across multiple frequent flyer programs depending on your tier. So we have a bunch of these programs already working and live and implemented. So if you were to search, let's say you are earning points on 2 or 3 or more frequent flyer programs for many reasons. Sometimes you have a credit card associated, and then you earn some points through spending, but then you fly different alliance or airline, and then you are also earning points on a different frequent flyer program. So if you will have these two and you want to compare the pricing across these two programs, you could use AwardFares to search the same route and dates and use the same filters across these programs. So as of today, we support 18 and a few for SkyTeam, a few for Star Alliance, a few for OneWorld, and a few others that are non-alliance partners. Sometimes it's also worth noting that some of these airlines have joint ventures or some partnerships with other non-alliance airlines, for example, JetBlue or goal. So if you are under the use case where you want to see where, in which routes, or there is availability, or you're getting the most value out of your points, you can search on more than one program at a time. And that's also working for alerts. So you can set up alerts on a certain routes, even both live alerts and flex alerts across programs. So if you're a Flying Blue user and a EuroBonus and you're trying to get one seat on a certain route, then you might find availability across the different programs at a time.
And I guess related to that, it's maybe useful to mention in what situations that you would want to search multiple programs at once. And for example, if you have a non-airline branded Amex card, you can transfer your MR to different frequent flyer programs, and those transfer destinations kind of depend on which country your Amex card is from. But for example, if you have a Swedish Amex card, you can transfer to Flying Blue, you can transfer to Delta, and a couple others. So in those cases, it can be really useful to set up alerts or search for multiple programs, because then if you're trying to find something that's hard to get, you can potentially move your MR to whatever program you want to book with and get an award that way. And yeah, you can go even crazier with that. For example, transferring your MR to BA, and then you can move your Avios between like Finnair and Qatar. So there are lots of ways to move your points between programs and from credit cards. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's especially relevant in the US, where there are multiple banks and credit cards having their own reward program. Like for example, Chase, they have Ultimate Rewards, they have Capital One, they have American Express, there's Bilt, and most often, I mean, very often they have bonuses. Every month they roll out different bonuses for these points and point transfers. That changes the conversion. So let's say there's a multiplier every month, where this month, if you transfer your Capital One rewards or your Chase points to British Airways or Flying Blue, you get 30% more. So usually if you have flexibility and you're just trying to get the good redemption, you are after these multipliers, and then the possibility of comparing to which program there's availability, and you're going to get the maximum value or pricing, then it's very handy to have. So before actually transferring, you can check there's availability, or if the route is hard to find availability, or there's lots of open seats, you can decide this before actually initiating the transfer, which actually usually takes a couple of days. So yeah, it's a great way to compare in which program you get the best deal, so to speak.
Just one follow-up to, we had an earlier question about how to set up push notifications on your iPhone. I believe you have to be using Safari. So you have to open AwardFares in Safari, save to the home screen, and then enable push notifications. Maybe Richard, you can confirm if that's correct.
Yeah, I think, again, feel free to use the chat bubble on the website to reach out to us, and then we can try to solve those individual user problems through the support channel.
We got an interesting question. What challenges do you guys see in the future on developing AwardFares to the customer's wishes? Is there something that you today want to add as a feature but can't due to technical restrictions? Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest challenges is there are a lot of things we want to do, and trying to figure out what are the top priorities. Like I mentioned earlier, we constantly get new requests for programs that we want that users want us to add, but at the same time, we're also getting lots of great feature requests, and then also our own ideas. So it's always a balance between choosing what we should focus on, and yeah, we try to think about both, both the small things that are maybe easier to add, like for example new filters, and those types of small tweaks, but then also tackling some of these bigger features, like the new alert features that we rolled out today. That's been a big project that we've been working on for many months now. So those features take time to really polish and figure out how exactly we want them to work. And there are definitely a lot of other features like that we do want to work on, the sort of big picture features, and bigger features that can really change how you can efficiently search for awards and make it easier. Yeah, I don't know if Richard or German has any other thoughts on that question.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
as you
it's a
say,
great point.
the challenge is we're a small team, and it's just the four of us on screen. Like this is all of AwardFares, and yeah, it's like you say, it's a trade-off between expanding to new programs, but also adding the features that the users of the current programs that we support want to have.
Yeah, in addition to the fact that programs change, the features that we already have to make them smooth and keep them smooth, we need to sort of pay attention to the existing program. So it's a combination of things to do for ongoing maintenance and making sure you get a good experience, and also growing new features and tapping into new frontiers when it comes to award flights, I guess. Yeah, so we are almost reaching 1 hour and a half. Maybe if you have suggestions, Philip or Richard, if you have any other thing you want to cover. I have one more question on one particular use case that they're asking for an example, but yeah, maybe we can take that last.
Okay. Yeah, I did see we had one other question that came in, which was about including the taxes in the alerts as well. Because right now in the search interface, when you find a flight, you can see the point price, and you can also see the taxes that you have to pay. But right now for alerts, we only show the point price, and both for search and alerts, we only have filters for the points price, but we have no filters for the taxes. And that's definitely something that's come up in the roadmap in the past. So if if anyone has, if that's something that is interesting to you, feel free to let us know, and be good to get more feedback on any specific use cases for those types of features.
Yeah, that being said, also it wouldn't work for EuroBonus, since EuroBonus doesn't publish the taxes in the sort of list of results. You need to start going through a booking in order to actually get the tax calculation.
Yeah, that's true. I guess at least for the SkyTeam. I think for the
yeah, that's right.
Pure SAS flights, we do show the taxes.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess it also depends. Like each frequent flyer program has different policies on and different ways of like releasing the information about the taxes. So that will require us to have different considerations for different programs. But I guess one interesting thing they brought up in general is that sometimes you are under the situation where you want to book certain award, but you don't want to overpay on high surcharges or fees. So I guess the ultimate goal there is to try to rule out all the options that are high or require high taxes, and that's something, yeah, we'll for sure look into including into our roadmap. I think it's going to be very useful to have a handy tool for looking actually the good award flights with low taxes and getting some good value out of those redemptions.
Yeah, I mean, one specific challenge with adding filters for taxes is how we deal with multiple currencies. Obviously, different programs generally have different currencies. Like, for example, EuroBonus, would be using like SEK or NOK or DKK, but and then the American programs would probably be using USD. But then also within a single program, the taxes might be in different currencies depending on where that flight is from. So, yeah, the challenge there is like, well, should we just standardize everything as USD, or maybe there's some other way to solve that.
Not to mention that sometimes also those prices depend on the point of sale, which is like where you're going to issue the ticket, and depends also on the routing. So for example, if you're using the same program, but you're checking flights from New York to Europe, for some programs, point of sale that's within the US, compared to like if I do the other way around from Europe to the US, then the point of sale is somewhere in Europe, and then sometimes the taxes are sort of calculated to the origin country. So there's also all sorts of complications around the topic, but yeah, it's something we are looking after and we're actively monitoring and thinking on how to add that functionality, filtering taxes if you want to find under certain scope. The same way we've put sort of caps on the price. It will be very cool to have caps on the amount of taxes, or similar features, but it's something we need to think through to make it smooth and useful. But thanks for your suggestion, and I think it's worth reminding everyone that you can anytime go into awardfares.com and open a suggestion on the footer on the right corner, lower right corner. You can tap the help icon and you can send suggestions there, and we're always going through all those comments or feedback in general. So anytime you can write your suggestions there. With that said, we are 1 hour and a half into the live stream. I think it's a good time to maybe wrap up, showing one last question, which is, could you please show us how one can search for any destination with any number of some number of points in business class, also for some time period? So, is it showing the question?
Yes.
So maybe that's a very broad use, and it's something I think it's very well suited for AwardFares, because it's kind of a prime tool to explore results. And now you have the combination of search and alerts. So there are things you can already search for some availability, which are results that we have seen recently, and you can trigger. But also with the power of the new alerts, which are more like specific and broad, you can get interesting results on such a broad use case, right? So maybe, Richard, if you want to show an example.
Yeah, so for example, you can set up in the search view, you can use the price filter here to filter, for example, in this case, I filter already for business class, and I filter for a maximum of 110,000 points. And right now, since I haven't filled in any origin and destination, this is basically showing me everywhere in the world using SAS EuroBonus. And now, of course, with SAS having fixed prices, then the price filter becomes a bit redundant, because it will, like, it's sort of predefined which flights will be available and which flights will not. But for other programs with dynamic pricing, then this could be a very interesting way of finding good deals or sweet spots and so on. And then, of course, like, you can do the same type of filtering here. So you can enter, for example, the continent of Europe as your origin. And right now I have no destination and no date. So this just gives me an overview of what tickets are available in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. So, and then how about setting up an alert with such a configuration, for example?
Right. So you can do that using the Flex alerts. In this case, you need to enter at least 2 out of 3, so to speak, out of origin, destination, and dates, which means you cannot do, as in this case, like anywhere, and anytime. But you can filter a little bit more. So, for example, from Europe to Asia at any time, or let's say the other way around. I want to travel at some point in September, anywhere, but only from Europe, only in business class, only with, let's say, KLM, and I'm willing to pay a maximum of 50,000 points. Now, in the case of SAS, again, like, this alert will actually never match, because there are no KLM flights. Well, I guess that would be domestic or within Europe, so to speak. But with a program with dynamic pricing, then this would allow you to find those sweet spots and then hit save. Now, in this case, I have a filter here for only my live alerts. So I need to change this to Flex to see the alert that I just created, and there it is. And so as soon as as there is availability found through, for example, other users' searches, then I'll get a push notification to my other devices.
Super sweet. So we are looking forward to seeing what kind of use cases you can share with us anytime. Remember, you can reach out to us on any social channel or using the contact form or in the help desk on awardfares.com. We encourage you to create an account if you haven't done. Test out all these features. Remember, there's a 24-hour trial of our gold and diamond tier, so you can anytime get a taste of what having those features would be. And I guess with that said, it's time to wrap up from our side. We are super excited. We have been working on these features for a long time, and we are happy that these features are out there. We are confident that they will help you find even better award flights and redemptions, and help you, make a good use of your points and hard-earned miles and points. With that said, also keep in mind that we are just releasing these new features, and so if you encounter any issues with the sale, which, by the way, it's starting today for 7 days. If you take advantage of upgrading during the sale, you not only get a discount, but you also get grandfather limits on both, on live alerts, especially for the subscription lifetime. So you could take advantage of that today to enjoy increased limits for the release of this package. So if you encounter any of these issues, don't hesitate, just reach out. We'll be monitoring what's happening today and tomorrow very carefully. So just send in your questions or feedback, and we'll make sure to reply soon. Thank you all very much for joining. Thanks, Richard, Philip, Marlene, for being here today. We're super happy. We're proud of developing all these features. We are enthusiastic. And yeah, thanks all for watching. Let's stay in touch and see you soon. If these live streams are helpful, make sure to send that as a comment as well. So we're gonna make sure to make them happen more often as well. So have a great rest of your day.
Thanks everyone for all the questions.
Yeah, thank you so
It's
much.
fantastic.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.